Toby and Mr. Roodley. Written by Railmaster63. One afternoon, Toby was resting in the junction yard when Thomas puffed crossly into the station nearby. "Hello," called Toby. "You don't look so cheerful. What's the matter?" "One of my passengers, that's what," muttered Thomas. "Look!" And Toby did. He noticed a very smartly dressed man step off Thomas's train and onto a waiting mainline connection. "That's Mr. Roodley," continued Thomas. "He's a banker who lives near our top station. A regular old fusspot." Toby chuckled. "Oh, I'm sure he's not that bad." "You'll see," warned Thomas. But Toby just laughed. The next day, Toby was trundling home along his tramway with Henrietta when he noticed Mr. Roodley holding out his hand. "He must want me to stop," thought Toby. So he began to slow down and came to a halt, very close to where Mr. Roodley stood. "Excuse me, sir," Toby asked politely. "Would you like to get on board?" Mr. Roodley replied in a rather blunt manner, "Yes, I would." But Mr. Roodley didn't move. Toby was still confused. He waited and waited, till finally Mr. Roodley turned on his heel, and true to his name, he pointed angrily at Toby. "Well then, why don't you move?" he grumbled. Toby wasn't sure what to say. But Mr. Roodley interrupted. "Your trains are supposed to stop exactly where passengers can get on. Move forward so I can step on board." Toby inched forward slowly, so Henrietta's steps were in the right place. Mr. Roodley looked down and sniffed in a toffee-nosed manner before boarding Henrietta. "Humph!" Toby snorted and trundled away. He was quite annoyed, as was Henrietta. That mean old man, she grumbled. Later that night, he met Thomas at the sheds. "It's certainly no way to talk to an engine," said Toby crossly. "He's always been like that," replied Thomas. "He even complains when Annie's doors are too close. It's ridiculous." Toby thought for a moment. "If he wants us to stop in the right place, he'll have to speak to us right, won't he?" "And how's that going to happen?" asked Thomas. "Well, it'll go like this." And Toby explained his plan to Thomas. "Is that it?" said Thomas in a rather unimpressed voice. "Simplicity is all we need," winked Toby. So the next day, whenever they saw Mr. Roodley waiting, they would stop as far away from them as possible, much to his annoyance. Mr. Roodley soon lost patience and decided to get the bus. Toby was disappointed. He had hoped that Mr. Roodley would get so fed up that he'd have to be nice. But Thomas didn't care. He was glad not having to deal with him anymore. That was till one morning, when Thomas found Mr. Roodley waving frantically by a level crossing. Thomas stopped to see what the matter was. "About time! I've missed my bus and I have a very important meeting. Take me to the junction at once." Thomas was very cross. "No, I won't. This isn't the right place for me to be stopping." And he huffed importantly away. Mr. Roodley was furious. Presently, Toby came by with a goods train. Mr. Roodley angrily waved him down and explained his predicament, along with what happened with Thomas. Toby paused and spoke kindly to Mr. Roodley. "Perhaps if your manners were, well, a little more pleasant, then perhaps you wouldn't have such trouble getting help. Look there, you silly box, But he didn't finish the sentence. He thought back to how rude he had been. Toby was right. Mr. Roodley paused for a moment and spoke calmly to Toby. "Please, can you take me?" Toby smiled. "Of course." So Mr. Roodley climbed into Toby's cab and rode to the junction. He thanked both Toby and his crew before running to catch the train. Later that evening, Mr. Roodley came to the sheds. "I'd like to apologise to the both of you for my behaviour. I hope you'll forgive me." Toby accepted his apology at once, while Thomas begrudgingly followed. But Mr. Roodley wasn't finished yet. "Thanks to you, Toby, I arrived on time and my meeting went well. I even got promoted to bank manager. Seems having good manners really does pay." "Oh, yes," chuckled Toby. "It really does." The end.